Hey everyone, Shabby here and welcome back to another video in our series looking about who could be the next manager of Manchester United full time. So in this video we're going to be looking at Zinedine Zidane, being linked pretty heavily with the job. I'm going to assume that he's not going to get the job, to be honest with you, because I feel like they would have taken him on already. I don't know, he was available when Mourinho was sacked, so I would have expected that he would have been able to take the job straight away rather than having to wait to the summer, unless he just wanted the rest of the year off, or unless Man United wanted a bit of time to really look at the next manager. I'm not sure, but I just feel like because he was available, if Man United really wanted him, they would have gone all out to get him. But he's still pretty high up in the odds, and you can still get a pretty good chance of having him. And yeah, it's not completely out of the question for him to move. Stat-wise, he looks pretty impressive. I mean, that man management of 19 would be absolutely fantastic. Adaptability of 18 as well. Good motivation skills. Pretty good working with youngsters, which is good for Manchester United. That's what they sort of look at. Good potential and ability judging. Tactical knowledge needs a bit of work at only a 12. Discipline needs a bit of work at 12. Fitness coaching is abysmal. I mean, surely anyone can figure the basics of fitness coaching out. Surely, you'd think anyway. Either way, let's give him a year at Manchester United and see just how he does in the job. It's a difficult job. Let's see how he gets on. And here we go then, at the end of the first season, Manchester United finished second in the league, only 5 points away from Manchester City. So not terrible. I mean, coming second in the league is actually pretty good considering how it's been the last few years for Manchester United. So that's pretty good. I don't understand what I'm looking at. Why have Arsenal got Champions League and Chelsea only got Europa League? Can someone explain that? I need answers in a postcard down below. Why have Arsenal got Champions League? Because they won the FA Cup, maybe? I don't know. It's really weird. Anyway, enough of that. Let's have a look at the transfers that were made for Manchester United then. That will give us an idea of roughly the sort of players that he would like to look at. So, of course, Fred was there already. Oh, I can see some good ones here already. Adrian Silva from Leicester. Now, this is one that Mourinho brought quite often as well on this game in the first season. So probably quite someone realistic, I would imagine. Doesn't look too bad stat-wise, does he really? He got 29 games with 1 goal last season. Cost him a fair wedge of money, only 24 million. That's not too bad, really. And he's now valued at 41, so it's a good deal, actually, that one. Next up is the man that everybody wants in their club at this point in time. It is Frankie Dion from Ajax. Only played 9 games. When did he come in? January, okay. That explains it. He came in January. It's a really good deal. I think he's still progressing. He's still quite a young player, is Frankie Dion. He's got really good mental stats. His physical attributes need a bit of work, but his technical attributes need a lot of work. I mean, he's good at what he does. His passing, his technique, his dribbling, his first touch is all perfect, but just adding some more to his game is what he needs to do, and I think he's only 22 years old. I think that will continue to rise. He's worth 51 million now. They paid 49 million for him, so he's keeping his value. Hopefully he's going to grow a bit. And next up, to strengthen up the left-back position, then Danny Rose, 28-year-old. Pretty good deal. It's a realistic deal. I could see it happening in the summer. Paid 17 million for him. He's always quite cheap on this game. Not quite sure why. It's worth 30 now. And finally, they've signed Bertrand Traore. Really good player. Young, aggressive, very fast as well. Only got 8 games, 4 goals. But again, he was only purchased in January, so a full season behind him this year. You might see more out of him. Sales then, youngster Matteo Darmian went to Lazio for 3.1. 11 million for Pereira to go to Young Boys. That's quite impressive. But that's it. Right, let's look at this schedule then. What else happened this season? So they lost in the... let's go to the bottom then. Right, Champions League then. So they beat Juventus, Fenerbahce, CSKA Moscow, then lost to Juventus and beat Fenerbahce. So 5 wins out of 6 isn't bad. That'll put them through straight away. EFL Cup, they beat Fulham 3-1. They beat Bournemouth 3-2. They beat Newcastle 3-0. And FA Cup, they beat Blackburn 1-0 in the first round. Then drew 1-1 with Spurs before getting a replay and getting knocked out by Spurs. EFL Cup semi-final, they lost on 2 legs to Arsenal. In Champions League, they knocked Atletico Madrid out in the first knockout stage. That's a big result, that is. They knocked Spurs out in the quarterfinals. Then knocked out Juventus in the semi-finals. And they're in the final against Man City, and I've not played the game yet. I'll tell you what, let's go forward a few days and see what happened. They lost in the final 1-0 to Manchester City. Absolutely gutted. Leroy Sané with a 62nd minute goal. There wasn't much ability there at all, was there? Eric Valencia at right back, 6.3 rating. I think right back and left back is definitely a weakness of Man United they need to sort out. But let's move forward then to the end of the second season, see if Zidane can do a bit better. Bit of a failure the first season. Got to the Champions League final, which I think will be a very good result for Man United, but still got knocked out of all the competitions, finished second in the league. Let's see who gets on the second season. Right, there was definitely a drop in the second season, only finishing 4th. Still in the Champions League spots. Arsenal powering into a 3rd position place. That's pretty impressive. Right, that's interesting as well. Jamie Vardy's moved to Watford and got 17 goals this season. That's pretty cool. Let's have a look then at the team and see what happened, because that's disappointing for me, to be honest. They brought in Milinkovic-Savic, which is something they always seem to do every single... No matter who the manager is, Milinkovic-Savic comes in. And 16 goals in 36 games in the Premiership is absolutely outstanding. This man is a cracking player in this game. 78 million for him, though. Next up, Jonathan Tah. Again, someone we've seen a few times from some of the managers in this playlist. Fantastic defender, played 35 games this season. Got an average rating of 7.13, which is very good. Cost them 58 million. Next up then is Ricardo Pereira, once again from Leicester. They're liking the old Leicester players. They paid 31 million for him, and he's now worth 49 million. That's insane. It's not that good, surely. And finally, they signed Kubo. Good old Kubo. If you don't know much about Kubo, we've had him in our FIFA career mode. Young Japanese player. I've got a mod that puts a lot more good young players from around the world on the game, and Kubo's one of them. And they've obviously picked him up. Definitely a transfer for the future. He did say that Zidane was good at looking towards the future and working with youngsters, so maybe that's why he's looked at this younger signing. Right, let's have a look then at the schedule. Let's see what happened. Right, Champions League. Well, won the EFL Cup 3rd round against Fulham and the 4th round against Bournemouth. Nope, there we go. I was in the wrong season. There we go, I'm in the right season now. Okay. So they won on penalties against Preston, and then they beat Chelsea. That's pretty impressive. Champions League, they have Basel, Bruges, Spartak Moscow. What an easy group that was. And of course, they got all 6 wins. EFL Cup then, they defeated Chelsea in the 4th round, Liverpool in the 5th round. FA Cup, 2-1 wins in the 3rd round. They beat Everton, 5-1 on aggregate in the EFL semi-final, so they're in the final of that now. Beat Norwich in the FA Cup 4th round. Beat Brighton in the FA Cup 5th round, before losing to Arsenal in the EFL Cup final. Gutted. They knocked Benfica out of the Champions League, 5-1 on aggregates. They beat Liverpool in the FA Cup 6th round, and lost in the semi-final to Spurs. They knocked PSG out of the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and then they got knocked out by Man City again in the semi-finals. Gutted. So again, it's a pretty poor season, to be honest with you. Well, I've really killed it off. I mean, all these draws and that towards the end of the season couldn't have helped. There was a really good run there through January. That was a strong period of time, but it's just too much losses. When it's the end of the season, they really let them down by the looks of it. And losses to Stoke in the league, Man City, Chelsea, Chelsea again, Arsenal. So they're losing a lot of the big games against the big teams, which is quite disappointing. Those are the games you need to win, really. And draws against Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton, Arsenal, Spurs, Everton, Newcastle, Blackburn, Watford. The games they should be winning, and a draw against Spurs in the last day as well. The games they really should be winning, but they're just really not pulling it out, are they, really? Disappointing. Anyway then, that is the end of the second season. Let's give Zidane another year and see if he can finally start to bring all this together, because it's not looking great at the moment for him. Well, I'm going to be honest, it did not go well for him, did it? As now Diego Simeone is the Manchester United manager. That is a massive one. Just a little bit of inside knowledge. Simeone will be one of our videos later on in this playlist. But yeah, he's gone, old Zidane. Let's see when Zidane left. Zinedine Zidane. I can't remember how to look at that. Was it in history? Is it in milestones? So he resigned as the Manchester United manager in 2020. He resigned at the end of last season. Okay. So he's not even been part of this season. So he resigned at the end of last season. So he only made it through 2 seasons. That was it. And it was a pretty disappointing 2 seasons, to be honest. Finishing 4th in his 2nd season. I mean, if we just have a little bit of a look of a comparison with Simeone in charge. Comes 2nd, ahead of Man City. Looking pretty good. Transfer-wise, what does Simeone get up to then? He brought in Eric Dier, Nelson Semedo, Mamana, the centre-back, Zivkovic. Some pretty good players actually brought in, and out went £71 million worth, which is just a mixture of Jesse Lingard for 12 million, Ander Herrera for 28, Matic for 28. Matic for 28, God, what old is he now? 32 years old, that's a good deal for a 32-year-old. So yeah, Zidane did not have a very good time, did he? 2 seasons at Man United, finished 2nd and finished 4th in the league, beaten Champions League finalists, beaten FA Cup finalists, beaten EFL finalists. Just not really the spark we were hoping for. I mean, if you look at the previous couple of videos in this playlist, some of the managers have done a fantastic job so far, and according to Football Manager, they just don't believe that Man United and Zidane are the right mix. And as I said at the very beginning, I don't think Man United believe that either. If they did believe that, then potentially we would have seen Zidane come straight in January rather than having a interim manager like Solskjaer, but you never know. It could be right, it could be wrong. This game's not 100%, of course it isn't, but it can be very clever. It can be very much along the lines of real life. It has been in the past. I've seen some really interesting things happen that then just get mimicked to real life after time. So saying that's not 100% accurate, but it does sort of back up what I thought at the beginning of the video, that I'm just not quite sure that Zidane and Man United are the best mix together. But I don't know, let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. Of course, this was Zinedine Zidane as the Manchester United manager. Next video, we'll be looking at one of the favourites early on, but sort of disappeared a little bit, and that is Laurent Blanc. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how he gets on as Man United manager, but that'll be next time. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit a like and of course subscribe if you want to see some more. I've been Shepard Gamer. Thank you much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.